belonging to the congregation Sharei Tzion in Brooklyn. His name was Rabbi Rephael Elnadav, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, a great rabbi of his time. I think we've mentioned him on various occasions before, and he had a very colorful, let's just say, history to it with regards to himself. He was actually born all the way back in the year 1921 in Jerusalem. He was born in. He was a great rabbi of his time. Rabbi we've spoken about, as we said before, on various occasions before. And he would study, I believe, in the famous Yeshivat Porat Yosef in Jerusalem. Remember, Yeshivat Porat Yosef was still is like the bastion of the Sephardic Yeshivot, let's just say, in the whole of Israel, possibly in the whole of the world. So he was a very, very famous rabbi. And that was based in the old city and still is. So he would study over there. He would receive a rabbinic ordination while studying at Yeshivat Sharei Tzion in Jerusalem. Under that point in time, the chief rabbi, Rabbi Ben Zion Uziel, was, I think, the head rabbi there. And he would learn practices, various practices, to become a mohel, brit milah. He would learn about shechita, kosher slaughterer, and safrut, in regards to be a sofet stam, and write mizot within Sifrei Torah, respectively. He had huge amount of talents. As well as these talents, Rabbi Elnadav would study Hazanot, also under the renowned Sephardi Hazan, Rabbi Yaakov Halevi. He received further musical training by learning how to play many instruments and diligently studying the different, let's say, makamot of Sephardi melodies to actually know the source within regards to it. Now, while he was at a young age, I think he was considered an, let's say, expert in Sephardi Chazanot, respectively. After briefly saying in the Israeli army during the War of Independence, Rabbi Elnadav was offered a position as a Hazan in a main Sephardi synagogue in Tel Aviv. This was called the Ohel Moed. Throughout his tenure in Ohel Moed, Rabbi Elnadav built up his reputation as a world-known expert in Sephardi Hazanot. So remember, we've spoken about quite a few American-based rabbis. So it's always a privilege to speak about another great one. I think, by the way, I'm using the Sharei Tzion New York website for these notes over here. Okay, so in addition to these talents, he had obviously huge amounts of talents all throughout. I think in 1955, he was offered to become the head Chazan, Shliach Tzibur Cantor, and main rabbi of the growing Sephardic community in Cuba. After months of persuasion by the Cuban community, the rabbi accepted and moved his family, or at that point in time it was a young family, to Cuba. In Cuba, he would be involved in every aspect of religious life. So you can see his hands on all over the place, including Hazanut, Talmudei Torah. He was very involved into halachic issues, kashrut, for example, for performing marriages and divorces. He truly gave his life to improve the spiritual life of the community in itself, especially the community over there. He would spend huge amounts of time trying to help Cuba as a country grow religiously in a very, very healthy religious path. But I think at that point in time, life was difficult over there, and there was a newly formed Castro government, and Rabbi Elnadav knew that it was only a matter of time when he would have to relocate, possibly by force, it might be. While he was in his mid-50s, I think Mr. Isaac Shalom, who was the head or the leader of the Syrian community, heard Rabbi Elnadav perform in Jerusalem and expressed an offer that if the rabbi ever wanted to move to America, he would always be welcome for him to serve as a Chazan at the new Sharei Tzion, which was, I think, which was under construction. Come 1959, around that time period also, with life being almost impossible in communist Cuba, Rabbi Elnadav accepted Mr. Shalom's offer and, let's say, and began a significant career as a chief Chazan for the Syrian community, respectively. More will actually happen. While his tenure over there as a Chazan, he had a huge impact on the growing community. He instituted, let's say, many new minhagim and tunes in the tefillah and enabled everybody to build a relationship with God, with Hashem. Today, many people say that they learned how to pray by Rabbi Elnadav. It was through his devotion and compassion in the congregation, or the tefillah, as you say, that Sharei Tzion and many other synagogues grew in holiness and stature. And the recountants about their help over here that was given, if I'm not mistaken, that he also helped compile the famous Shir Ushbacha, the Red Book, let's just say, which is considered master text on the Hazanot and Makamot for the community, the Syrian community. He continued his career as a Chazan in Shaarei Tzion until I think retirement in the year 1980. Now, throughout his years, while he was there, yes, that's right. Throughout his years in Shaarei Tzion and even in his retirement, Rabbi Elnadav, I think, was a teacher at the famous Magen David Yeshiva and the Yeshiva of Flatbush. The rabbi was, let's say, just reading over once again, as I said before, the Shaarei Tzion ny.com website over here. So it's just, we're just speaking about a famous rabbi here at the moment. The rabbi was tremendous Talmid Chacham who loved Torah teaching to the youth and raising their spiritual level. In addition, the rabbi spent latter years of his life involved in many projects, including Chazanot and Sifrut, respectively, to become a Sofer Stam. It is because of his dedication and perfection that the community, the Syrian community itself in New York, or just all over the world, is considered to be the standard in Sephardic Hazanot all over the world. Now, I believe he passed away in 2012, he did, and I think a tribute was paid to him in Shaarei Tzion also, and the rabbi left, I think, behind a family and tremendous legacy by the Sephardic Syrian community over there. He would make a huge impact on him, so you could see how great he was. It's actually interesting. His parents, I believe, happen to have been Yemenite. They were Temani, which is very interesting. He had musical education when he was young, and he would study Hazanot under especially the famous Sephardic Chazan, Rav Yaakov Halevi. And I think at the conservatory, he would actually meet at that point in time in Jerusalem. I think it was in the Arzi Israeli, if I'm not mistaken. He would receive advanced training in voice development, violin, theory, harmony music under the aegis of Professor Moshe Cordova. Very interesting. He mastered many, let's say, makamat of Oriental music, various different things. I think in 1950, he was appointed chief Chazan of Congregation Ohel Moed, the largest Sephardic synagogue that happened to have been in Tel Aviv. He completed his higher Torah studies, I think, also in Jerusalem before he went to Yeshiva Porat Yosef. And if I'm not mistaken, in 1955, he would be called to fill the role of chief rabbi and chazan at the time of the Sephardic congregation of Havana in Cuba. His fame obviously spread not just as a good chazan within regards to his traditions, within regards to his brilliance, especially in 1989, how he was able to feed it. That's very interesting. I think it was in 1959. The more obviously his Oriental style and Ossetian Hazanot won him worldwide acclaim. In 1959, the Syrian Sephardic congregation, Shaarei Tzion of Brooklyn, invited him to fill the post of chief Chazan, which involved with, I think, great distinction for many years, specifically it states over here 21 years. And that's very interesting. I think Chazan Elnadav, Rabbi Elnadav, also was on the Red Pizmin Book Committee in the early 1960s, it happens to be, along with other famous community leaders such as Rabbi Jacob S. Kassin, very great Rabbi Sam Katon, Rabbi Avram M. Asher, Rabbi Ralph Tawil. Also, that's very interesting. I don't know if all these people are rabbis. Rav Satan, Yaakov ben Hamoy, Jacob Haran, and also Jack Maslaton Haimi. Very interesting enough. So, that is very interesting. So he was among those people over there. He would be also a Talmud teacher at the Yeshiva Flatbush, I think in the 1970s, and I think also in 1992 and 1993. And among his descendants includes his grandson, happens to be Chazan Tebele. Very interesting. So maybe he just has to, so that's very interesting. So one lasting legacy that he saw, which specifically was beautiful, was the Ashrei Ha'am melody that every Syrian congregation sings every Shabbat when taking out the Torah. Prior to Elnadav's, let's say Rabbi Elnadav's arrival to Shaarei Tzion, nothing was chanted upon taking out the Torah on Shabbat other than, let's say, the Vizot Torah and the Pizmon Sefer Torah. So very interesting. Hope this was informative. Friends, we're a community here. We're learning about famous rabbis of yesteryear. This, I believe, one of the first times we're actually recording over here and speaking about a very, very famous rabbi, without a doubt, Rabbi Yosef. Yes, that is very interesting, which I reckon everyone to learn more about. So, his name was Rabbi Elnadav. Much is reported with him on the internet in regards to his brilliance, his chazanot, let's just say, of its own stuff. I think there's a specific page that actually describes the life of various different rabbis. We looked at the Shari Tzion website over here, which would actually describe him also, and much more is also, I think, featured within regards to him. I think much more is chronicled, so I'd recommend everyone to look into that. And I hope you're well. Take care, and please subscribe to the channel. We are nearing at the moment a staggering 7,000 subscribers, which is a huge achievement over here. So if you feel anyone's interested in watching these videos, please share these videos also to other people and help the channel grow. We don't just do videos on great rabbis of yesteryear, we're talking about different yeshivot of yesteryear and the Jewish personalities that there might have been all throughout various different times. So I feel it's very, very important that we learn it. Take care and be well. And thanks everyone for the fantastic feedback. We're going to come in this week into Parshat Re'eh already. So that's absolutely phenomenal how we've actually come from such, huge amounts of work has been done. And we're just making progress, which is a huge achievement. So please, friends, once again, wishing you all well. Take care, be well, and thanks for watching.